Good morning, everyone out there in podcast land. Well, I guess I'm not actually podcasting. We are broadcasting from the Gym Supply Cleaning Festival in Lakeland, Florida. It is roughly 11 o'clock, a few minutes before, but we've got a beautiful setup here. We've got like 25 vendors. A whole lot of people have shown up this morning. I believe it. I tried to get some video for you, but it was so crowded down there in the expo hall that I couldn't get through. So you'll have to wait for the video from the actual expo where all the vendors are. What you're going to be in for right now is we've got a guest speaker that's come down here from, well, last time I talked to him and we got to meet in person, he was in a colder state than where we're at today. Then he moved to another colder state. I keep up with which cold state he's in at the moment. But you know what? I do know that today, we've got him out of the cold. He's down here in Lakeland, Florida with us. And thank you for everybody here in the room today. I appreciate your time and attendance. Start this morning with a presentation from Mike Ward. Mike got together a number of years ago. He wrote a book. I'm going to let him tell you all about that. But I read the book, and it was very inspiring because in all my career, which has spanned over 50 years now, I was looking for a criteria that we could say exemplifies who a custodian is. And the thing is, as funny as I travel all around the world, people really don't know what the word custodian really means, which is very interesting to me. Anyway, he had 9 personality traits written in his book. We talked about it. I liked it so much. We created together the ROCKSTAR Custodian program. Now, later on today, we're going to be live with the 2022 winner. Now, actually, 30 days ago today, we gave him the national award through a live cast like you're going to be in today. At 12:30 this afternoon, he's going to be live on the air with us from Chesapeake, Virginia, and he's going to tell us what the first 30 days meant to him and to his team and to the school and community there in Chesapeake for being named the National ROCKSTAR Custodian 2022. Now, why am I telling all of you that? Because Dan is the one that started it all. Come on up here, Mike. Get both of us here. Hey, it's good to actually see you in person and shake your hand. We meet each other through this, but now we can see each other here.
For the first time in a long time.
You're in a cold state anymore?
No.
He's not in a cold state. He is now here where it's warm. I'm going to get off of here, but Mike Ward, you're in Ohio now?
Ohio now.
And I'll let you, Mike, tell all about his career, but there's some colorful things. So after this is over, he's got a booth down there. Ask Mike about his costume before. That's all I'm going to tell you. You just need to ask him about his costume. Anyway, here's Mike Ward.
Thanks for embarrassing me, Dave. You're awful good at that.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. All righty. Well, today I want to talk to you about how to be a ROCKSTAR Custodial Leader. Now, I've worked in public schools for 33 years now, and so I'm going to be talking through the eyes of a school, but I will tell you that this translates to any business. So just kind of while I'm talking, think about maybe how you can use some of these tools in your world, whether you clean office building, a church, or a community center. So my ROCKSTAR Custodial program, I call it the On Target Custodial Program for leaders. Oh, you can see that? Okay. I'm not going to talk a lot about me because I don't want to take away time to talk to you about what I think can help you be successful. If you want to know anything about me, go to my website. It's custodialzone.com. whoswingsyourmop.com is still available, but I've switched over to custodialzone.com. You can also email me at custodialzone@gmail.com if you'd like to talk to me or have me help you with anything related to custodial. So my why. So I started, like I said, 33 years ago, and I quickly noticed as I was working as a custodian, we don't do too much to put ourselves in a positive light. And then you take it and you look at on TV, some of these commercials and movies and the creepy janitor. And I got to thinking, we've got to do things to make ourselves look like professionals, especially working in a school district where you're working with a lot of educated folks that are teaching our children. And then when we come through not looking as professional, I saw a huge gap that we needed to work on. So for the first few years, I just kept putting plops in the bucket, I call it, plops in my head of things that we need to do to make ourselves be looked at as professionals, just as a teacher would. And one of the things I always say to people is find a reason you can, not a reason you can't. The thing that I hate to hear more than anything, and you can finish this for me, is I don't have, what is it? Time. I don't have time. I don't have time. It's not my area. That's somebody else's job. And that just plays right into that negative stereotype that we don't want to be living in. So why is it important to have an OnStar custodial leadership program? Because it builds custodians up. It causes them less stress. It also utilizes tools that communicates, organizes, and puts us in a positive light and gives us a positive perception. It makes custodians' jobs easier and more efficient. It's a true proactive versus reactive program. So people throw that around real easy. They say, we're proactive. Then I say, well, show me what you do proactive. And they usually can't show me. So I'm not into the lip service. I want to see some action behind that. Also, it will put you in control of your building or your business, and you'll have cleaner buildings. And it also, especially in schools, I can't tell you how many times that I've worked with custodians that have used this leadership program, that the principal will tell me it's almost like I have another assistant principal. So it's a great program. And what are some signs that you might need this in your business or your school? Well, if you're always being asked to do the basic things that you should just be doing without having to be asked, there's a red flag that you might say, maybe I need to work on some things. Maybe if you get inspections, you're getting some poor inspections, or your building's dirty, that's another sign. You have horrible plans. That's back to that proactive thing. If you're asking, you have a setup for an event and you're scrambling, well, what do I do? You should already have all that stuff planned out. Now, I do know we get surprised every once in a while, but most of the time we know when there's a basketball game and those types of things. You have a dysfunctional team. That's a real big red flag that your program's a mess. And then people complaining all the time. So Dave was talking about the ROCKSTAR Custodial program just a few minutes ago. These are some of the traits he was talking about, but I'm not really going to talk about those traits too much because, they're pretty self-explanatory, and they're in pretty much any job. If you have a positive attitude, you understand customer service, you're pretty much going to be successful. What I want to talk to you about today is what the behind the scenes things are that makes you that professional leader. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I don't think very many of you work in schools, but no matter what your business is, you're always going to have hot times of the year where you're doing things. I'm not going to go through all these things, but I do want to point out a few things. So if you work in a school and your principal is going to have staff meetings with the teachers at least once a month, sometimes every couple of weeks. If you want to be that leader, I highly encourage you to get with that principal and say, can I be a part of 3 staff meetings, 5 minutes per meeting? Most principals will let you do that. If they won't, I've got a second plan that I can tell you about later. But those staff meetings are very important. So the first one you'd want to be a part of is just before school starts. All the new teachers are coming in, you're all sitting around, and you need to get up there and you say who you are, what you do, how frequent you do things, what the steps are to put in a work order, all those things. So yes, get in front of those teachers, let them know you're part of that team, you're part of that school community. The second staff meeting that's very important is the one right before winter break. So you've had a few months of school, you've had some hiccups. That's the time to address those with the staff and let them know things that they could do to help you be more successful and help them be more successful. And the last one is the end of the year staff meeting, that one before all those teachers go away for their summer break while we're still working our butts off. That's real important to tell teachers how we need them to pack up their rooms and turn in their keys and all those other types of things that are very important. So what does this do? This shows us as a professional, right? They're not guessing. They know who we are. They know that we're the person that you got to come to. The other thing that's real important on here is October 2nd. Anybody know what that day is? That is the National Custodial Workers Day. So make sure you get your custodians a box of donuts or something, or get them a trinket or something, and let them know how important they are, because we don't do that. We don't do a good job of letting our custodians know how important they are to our schools and our businesses. So like I said, at the beginning of the year, there's a letter that I use, beginning of the year letter. Back in the good old days, I used to kill a lot of trees and print those off and put them in every teacher's mailbox. Nowadays, I email these, and then there's an end of the year letter that kind of tells them how to pack up their rooms. These are on my website. Feel free to use them. You can plagiarize the crap out of them, because I know they're done professional, and I know if you're using them, you're going to look professional. I've had English teachers check these to make sure that they're grammatically correct. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to tell you a story about a custodian named Mr. Bob and this evil principal, the she-devil. So I took a job as a manager of operations and maintenance and facilities and grounds and all that with the school district several years back. And I could insert several names in here because I've been in this movie several times, but we're going to use Mr. Bob today. And when I get these jobs, I like to go around and I like to meet all the head custodians at the schools, kind of find out what their struggles are, how things are going, get to know them a little bit. And I met Bob, I think it was in February, and I went in and introduced myself. How you doing? And he immediately started with, "Oh my God, you wouldn't believe this she-devil principal that works here. She's a blankety blank blank blank." Or bleep, bleep, bleep. So he went on and on. She's mean. Everybody hates her. The teachers hate her. The kids hate her. The parents hate her. She's horrible. She's a liar. She's a backstabber. And I'm just like dizzy listening to all this stuff. And I said, "Okay, Bob." I didn't say too much, but I did kind of plop in there and say, "Hey, Bob, I have a program that I guarantee you will work with this principal." "Oh, no, it'll never work. You don't know. You've never met a principal like that." And I said, "Well, Bob, I got to tell you, I don't need to meet her because I know this stuff works. It's never not worked." So he went on, and I walked the building with him, and I wasn't inspecting, but I was kind of watching, and I noticed that his building was pretty dirty. His office was a mess. There were piles of paper. The break room table had wrappers and crap all over it. As I looked through his closets, as we're walking through, the shelves are unorganized. The equipment, there was a carpet extractor. This is February with the lid on it, and it's a mess. And I was like, you don't even know how to store your equipment. It's terrible. So again, I didn't say too much. And then, sorry, that's okay. I'm good right here. So anyway, the school was just not very clean. So I didn't say too much because I figured I'll be dealing with this in the future, so at some point here, probably pretty soon. So I went back, and a couple of days later, I talked to his supervisor, and I said, "Hey, I visited Bob's school, and man, he's not very happy over there." And you wouldn't believe it, his supervisor echoed everything Bob said. And that really scared the poop out of me, because I thought to myself, not only do I have a horrible head custodian, I've got a probably not too good supervisor if they think this guy's true and all that stuff. Well, anyway, you'll never believe what he said to me when he was talking about Mr. Bob. This supervisor said, "Mr. Bob's been here a long time, and he is a rock star custodian." And I literally about crapped in my pants. I just like, huh? That's what I looked at, huh? Because believe you me, I know what a rockstar custodian is, and it didn't take me 5 minutes to know that Mr. Bob is not a rockstar custodian. So from there, then the school starts winding up in May. I never did meet the principal, but in May, I got an email from her. And guess what she said? "Hi, Mike, I'm the principal. I haven't had a chance to meet you yet. My building is dirty." Okay. "And Bob is lazy, and he sits in his office all the time, and blah, 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 blah. So I emailed her back and I attached some of the things I'm getting ready to share with you and told her that I would work with Bob over the summer to put that ROCKSTAR program in place. So when we start school back in the fall, we'll be in a different place. She immediately wrote me back and she's like, this is awesome. If you could do this, we would be in a whole different situation. So there's a lot of things to the custodial ROCKSTAR program, but I'm going to talk about two in particular, and those are the custodial reference book. But before I do that, I kind of forgot something there. I'm sorry. So what I did before I went to see Bob, and I hate doing this because I think this is kind of tacky, but I went to IT and said, hey, I kind of need to see the cameras because I want to know if this principal's a liar or what's going on here. So I picked 3 random days over the past month, just normal school days. And each of the 3 days, Bob was sitting in his office for over 4 hours. Over 4 hours. But yet she's the devil, right? So I knew something was going on here. So I went to see Bob, and I actually took this very book right here. This is a custodial reference book. Feel free, I'll leave this at my booth if you want to look through this. But we're going to look through some things in the custodial reference book. So you're probably not going to be shocked, especially if you work in schools, but it's going to be different than what you're used to. So think about this, no matter what you work in, how do you have anything like this, and how can you make it professional? So when you have a custodial reference book, there's got to be a purpose. You know, it's a good communication for your substitutes and your new hires. It shows professionalism. I keep pounding professionalism. It can be uniform. So if you are over several buildings or whatever, if you have this for each building, this shows you uniformity throughout your company or school district. And then also hopefully is working in concert with your procedural handbook, which tells you how to do the job, right? So the thing about this custodial binder, people who work in the building every day, they know this stuff by heart. But it's when you get a new employee, how do they feel when they walk in your building or when they're filling in for you? So the first page of the custodial binder is going to be an area of responsibility map. Anybody ever seen something like this before? Okay, well, do you notice anything about these maps? They were done with what?
Crayon.
Yes, crayon, highlighter. A 5th grader could do this, or probably even a 2nd grader, right? So do you want to be better or do you want to be Bob? So I choose to be better. So we do this on the computer. It's professional. And I know you're probably sitting there thinking, well, I don't know how to do that. That's okay. I'll tell you, it's not that hard. You just convert a map to a JPEG and put it on 3D Paint and color it in on the computer. But if you can't do it, I guarantee you know somebody that can do this for you. In my world, it's usually the secretary. You go to the secretary and say, hey, can you help us do that? If not, I'm going to get a hold of IT. I'm going to get a program. I'm going to have a class and show my custodians how to make these maps. Because this is important. Again, do you want to have this or this? There's a huge difference in perception. Here's the next thing. I asked Bob, and by the way, I went to the school and told him what I had discovered, and he was arguing the whole time. I said, well, guess what? We're going to do this program whether you like it or not, because now you're on the clock, because now I'm seeing some things, right? So this one on the left is actually Bob's subplans. Now, again, look at that. No wonder he's looked at as a stupid janitor, as I say. A 2nd grader could write that. Forget how bad it looks. Look at a couple things on here. Check the boiler and the boiler room. Well, what the hell am I checking? That tells me nothing. Keys are in the top middle desk drawer. I'm going to assume that's his desk drawer. Check the freezer and the cooler in the kitchen. Again, what am I checking? You got to give me some more stuff. Now, the one on the right's typed out a little bit, looks a little better, but still, it doesn't give me the information that I need to be successful. So enter a professional, boom. See the difference? Night and day, night and day. So this is what you want. And when I showed this to Bob, guess what he said? Oh my God, she's going to micromanage me. You're just giving her all the fuel. And I'm like, no, That's not what it's for. If you notice right there at the top in the highlight, it says, note, events and circumstances may alter this guide at any given day. This is designed to give information and guidance to complete the daily task in the most efficient manner possible. And I always tell folks, if you have a principal that tries to say, well, it's 9 o'clock, you better be doing what it says at 9 o'clock, give me a call and I'll have a conversation with them. Because we all know if we have a body fluid cleanup, something happens, it's going to change our routine. This is a guide. Again, the people who do this job every day, they don't use this. They know what to do, right? But if Bob falls and breaks his leg, and I've had to do this several times, the first thing I'm looking for is this. And if it's done like that first one, it's a mess. I can't figure out what to do, where things are at. There's something else on here. It talks about turning on the lights. And guess what? We have a nice professional map that says refer to the item location map. And right there it is. Easy to do. You use a little bit of clip art with a light bulb. It shows where the light switches are. This one shows where the trash cans go for breakfast after the bells, where the dumpsters are, where the custodial closets are, all that stuff. Have you seen these? Do you think this would change the perception of a supervisor or a principal? 100%. 100%. This is a lunchroom setup. Again, this is real stuff, folks. I can go into a school in Texas, Idaho, it doesn't matter what state, and I'd say probably 80% of the time, this is the kind of stuff I see. And I always say, what are you doing? No wonder you're looked down on, right? So again, I could probably figure this out because I'm assuming that yellow and green line is kind of in the floor, so I could probably ad-lib this one. But again, boom. You see a huge difference here, right? That's how you want to be a professional. Something else you have to do sometimes is set up cones. Here you can see this is how you set up the cones. And if you're smart, you will say where the cones are stored. I can't tell you how many times I've been in that situation where I've had to cover for a head custodian and it says set up the cones. And I'm spending 20 minutes looking for these cones. Where in the hell are they at? Right? So it's real important that you give good, detailed information to be successful. Here's a music and awards program. Sometimes you have 5 or 6 different programs. Some people, they do the same thing as the cat. They just colored on the thing. That's on a piece of paper. That's terrible. This is professional. Find a reason you can, not a reason you can't. Find a way to be professional. Find resources that will help you put something together that's professional, whether it's for your business or your school. Here's what I love, and here's an example of the proactive thing. So here, right over here is a summer cleaning map. This is the building broke down by weeks. So I always tell head custodians, have that map ready and to go right after spring break, have a meeting with the office manager and the principal and discuss their summer cleaning. Here's what I got planned for summer cleaning, ma'am. What do you have any feedback? Yeah, week 2, we have a camp in there. Could you switch week 2 with week 4? That would be great. Absolutely. But who's in control? It's me. I'm the building manager. I'm showing them that I've got this. Same thing with a 5-year painting or floor stripping plan. Do it professionally. Share it. This is what I'm doing, not have them come to you to tell you what to do. This is huge stuff. I try not to kill trees, but I still do this. I'm still guilty of this. I print these up and I put them on all the classroom doors. This is how to clean a classroom. Not only is it done professionally, but it's also kind of a training tool. It shows you what order you should do it to clean the classroom. Again, this is available on my website for free. If you'd like something like this, if you'd like help creating one for your business, I'd be happy to help you with that. So that's part 1, is having that reference book. And I always tell people, share that reference book with the principal and the office manager, because believe me, there will be a time where nobody's around and they're going to need to have access to that to get somebody started. They can't just give them keys and say, oh, I don't know what the hell Bob does, but here's the keys, right? So make sure you do that. It's okay to have this stuff online, but you've got to have a hard copy in that custodial office, because you may or may not know this, but I tell you, there's a lot of custodians out there that barely know how to turn on the computer to clock in, right? Let alone go digging through 3 different places to find the area map or the schedule, right? So have this stuff readily available in the office. The second part I'm going to talk to you about is a weekly communication with that principal. And the reason you want to do that, you want to keep them micro-informed. You want to give them tools to answer questions. If a parent comes in and asks a question, if you're communicating properly, you're going to be able to do that through the weekly email. And it'll build trust and confidence with your principal. So when I told Bob that we're going to do this weekly email with the principal, he goes, no, that'd take me 2 hours to do that. I'm like, are you kidding me? I said, first of all, I'm going to do it with you until you get the hang of it. I said, by the way, do you meet with your principal once a week just to kind of trade information? Yeah, but she always lies and twists things. I said, well, there's an easy solution to that. After you meet with her, say, we discussed A, B, and C per our conversation. We discussed A, B, and C, and we agreed on X, Y, Z, right? It's real easy. It just takes a little bit of effort. So anyway, I have 4 bullet points I use. You might have 4 completely different ones, but in a school setting, work orders are a big thing. So I always update them on the work orders that we're doing. And it's really easy. When I put in the work order, I highlight it, cut it, and paste it. So it's ready for that email every week. So I let them know the work orders that I put in the week, and then I let them know which ones are closed out. Then I give them custodial staff updates. That's another thing. Oh, there's a new janitor running around here. I don't know who it is. I've never seen it before. Be professional. When you get a new staff member, go introduce them to your office manager and your principal. Walk them around, but let them know, if there's somebody on vacation or somebody resigns, or if you're short-staffed. That's never happened, right? Nobody's ever been short-staffed, is that? No. So when you are short-staffed, you need to communicate that. And what is your deferred cleaning plan? You can throw that in there. In fact, if you have to use the deferred cleaning plan a certain week, you just attach it to the email, say, refer to the deferred cleaning plan that I covered in the staff meeting at the beginning of the year. See how that works? It all goes together. And if you change our hours of operation. The next 2 things that you're going to talk to them about in that email is upcoming projects. Say that we have to shut off the power next Tuesday to replace a breaker from 4 to 6. That's something you want the principal to know so she can communicate that with the staff. Upcoming projects at spring break. We're going to paint the east hallway. Teachers, please get all the stuff off the hallway so we can get that painted. And then any non-contact days. In schools, non-contact days are days where teachers work, but kids aren't in school. So we can do projects during that time, and it's good to communicate with them what those are. And then the last bullet that I like to put in each week's email is anything for the teachers and the staff. If you had a fire or health inspection, you're going to want them to let them know the things that were identified and what they've got to do to correct it. But when you do this part, just be real careful that you don't call anybody out in front of everybody. Have private conversations. Generalize. We've gotten some issues in the storage room. The storage is too high. You got to have 18 inches from the sprinkler head, right? So that's a general one. You don't want to say, Mrs. Jones, you're a pig. You need to clean that out of there. So at any rate, so anything that would change, any frequencies in which you do things, you would want to let them know. So that's kind of how it went. And you're probably wondering what happened with Bob. Well, Mr. Bob, he was lucky. He was in the union, and he had a lot of years. He had tenure, and he bid to another school with a nice principal and a rock star second shift that did everything. So he was able to just kind of fade away for a couple of years till he finally retired. He lucked out, and thank God for the union, because I probably wouldn't have made it that easy on him because it was just so frustrating. And then the principal, he left before the summer cleaning was over, and her and I got together. I went ahead and put the reference book together the best I could, shared it with her. She loved it. I went over the weekly email, and I told her when you interview for the next head custodian, you need to pound in the candidate's head. If you get this position, this is my expectation of what I need in my leader of a head custodian. So we did that. Did I lose it? We did that. I guess I'll yell a little louder. We did that, and what happened was we got a young man that went in there. He cleaned all the equipment up. He organized all the shelves. The school got a lot cleaner in just a couple months. I went in there a couple months later, and I asked him. I said, "Hey, how's it going, buddy?"
I love it. This is great. I said, how's that principal? She's wonderful. She's not the devil? Oh, okay. And then I made my way up to her office, and she said, Mike, I got to tell you, I have a completely different perception and idea of what custodians do and how hard their jobs are and how important they are to our building. She said, this guy, he's like having another assistant principal. My job is to make sure kids are learning and teachers are teaching. And I shouldn't have to deal with all this stuff. And thanks to you and this program, I don't have to do that anymore. So remember, understand your year, whatever that year might look like. That's the starting point. And then get yourself some type of a reference book. It might not be exactly like that, but something. Whether and for those of you who have cleaning businesses, this is a great way when you're putting your bid proposal together. When you put this kind of stuff in your bid proposal, you're probably going to have a leg up on your competition. And then also have that ROCKSTAR communication that we just went over there towards the end. And the last thing I didn't talk about is get involved in your school. You know, be a part of the safety patrol, be a part of the, safety committee. I've had custodians get involved with school plays, coach teams, all kinds of great stuff. So there's no better way to show your leadership than using that custodial ROCKSTAR program. So thank you, everybody. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, or you can stop at the booth and we can chat some more.
Thank you.
Thank you. Don't run away, folks.
We're going to try to get the microphone to work a little better.
Or we're going to yell.
Don't go too far. You're still attached.
Don't ask me to see which side's positive and negative because I don't have my glasses with me.
No, I do. I can see it.
Okay.
Let's see if anybody has a question.
May I have a question? You were shaking your head a lot. You must work in a school. Church. It's not much different. They got a school in the church, their property, right? Yeah, my home state, they go back to church, and there's a huge school. They finally got all the way through high school. It's huge. Yeah. Great for kids to get that type of education. Absolutely.
Now, how many of you have ever used a professional program like what Mike just lined out? Thank you. I mean, you know what? I remember back in the day, because I can say that because I'm the old guy here. I'm older than he is. He's got hair. I don't. You didn't notice the shine, right? I like his shine you got today. I see a few that look just like me, right? You know, the thing about it is that over the years of doing this, after 50 years, I remember those colored things because I'm the one that did that. How many people's done the colored thing on the chart, right? Wait a minute. Come on, somebody. Oh, thank you. At least somebody did. Okay, at least somebody knows how to use crayons like we did back then, right? How many ever has had that principal, what'd you call her?
She-devil.
A she-devil. Anybody got one of them?
Or a boss. Everybody raised their hand when they say boss.
Yeah.
I had the she-devil boss or the he-devil boss.
So folks, if you're watching out there on our internet, I noticed that a couple people have. We appreciate your viewing. It is about, what is it, about 11:30? Okay, here in about 15 minutes, we're going to have our food setting up back here. And then at 12:30, we're going to talk with you to the 2022 National ROCKSTAR Custodian. There's only been 4 of them. So now you know a little bit about where the ROCKSTAR program got started. 4 custodians by a custodian, because you just learned Mike Ward wasn't happy when somebody called somebody a rock star, and they definitely weren't a rock star. I mean, if I spent 4 hours in my office and I'm a custodian, is that a rock star? I don't think so. And so that's why we got together and designed this. So if you're listening to me right now and it's 2023 and it's not after October, you need to go to academyofcleaning.com and you need to nominate who you think is a ROCKSTAR custodian. Now, in order to qualify, they have to meet the 9 personality traits that he identified in his book. Now, he's got his book out there for sale. It outlines all that. But if you're listening, you can go on there. There's a nomination form. You know what? 30 days ago, we gave this guy the award. His boss nominated him a year before. There were 5 finalists that we picked from the hundreds that we get every year. And the community there voted. Now, when I say the community, I do mean more than just a few people, folks. The school got involved. It happened to be a guy from a high school that actually won. There were over 120,000 votes cast, and that school in that area voted 198 times for this guy. Now that is recognizing a ROCKSTAR custodian for who they are, what they do. And as you heard Mike Ward say just a few minutes ago when he started his presentation, let's do something right. Let's be positive. Let's be professional. And that's what the ROCKSTAR program is all about. So we developed, there's actually 5 different segments. How many people may have went to the FSPMA over the years? No? A few? Well, we'll be doing one there again, but some other people had asked about classes. That's what we do here at the Academy. We have classes. You'll notice that this afternoon we have floor care hacks and decontamination hacks. How many people are in charge of decontaminating their building? After the last 2 or 3 years, we really do know what that's all about now, don't we? So enjoy lunch. It's going to be coming in here shortly, and we'll see you back here at 12:30. Thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you.
Well, I found 2 other I did find 2 batteries I had.
You got a pen?